So now let's move to the end of the 1940s, and the next date on our journey through the evolution of the drum set and drumming is 1948. In our last segment, we talked about a style called bebop, and bebop was kind of a reaction against the big band music, where musicians, jazz musicians, wanted to take jazz and make it much more of an art form that wasn't about dance music. It was more about really exploring the outer edges and the boundaries of what you could do with jazz music. So that was cool, but it didn't really appeal to the average person that still wanted to go out and go dancing on a Friday night. So the kind of music that evolved also from the big band era, but that kept the dance feel of the big bands, was this style called rhythm and blues. And it was also an African-American style like bebop. It evolved as something that African-American musicians did within their community for other African Americans who, by the way, had started to benefit after World War II and could now afford to buy their own records, their own style, and so became a demographic. So rhythm and blues starts to emerge. Now, rhythm and blues was similar to big band music in that you still had a horn section, although it was now a smaller horn section, and you still had this kind of danceable four-on-the-floor feel. Well, when people went out to dance on that Friday night, they still wanted to hear that big sound of the big band, but now the band was a lot smaller. And so you had to figure out ways to fill up the sound. So one of the ways they did this was the electric guitar, which started to really come into prominence in the 1940s, because now guitar player could turn up. By the end of the 40s, the electric bass shows up, so you could turn the bass up now. So for the first time ever, drummers could really start to lay in, and they could start to play heavier grooves. So the two things that drummers did in creating heavier grooves, first was to play a shuffle, okay? So the shuffle feel, that idea of, instead of just a ding, 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 which was kind of how jazz time feel had been prior to this time, well, now they could take that whole shuffle feel, the da, 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 and really start to express that in a much heavier way. And by the time we get to 1948 and this song Good Rockin' Tonight, the backbeat 2 and 4 really becomes accentuated. So you have this doom da 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 doom da 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 doom da 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 doom. Now today, when we sit down to play a groove, a lot of the times in many styles of music, popular music, whether it's rock or funk or hip hop or gospel or soul, country music, any of these styles, you automatically play a really heavy 2 and 4 on your snare drum, right? A backbeat. Well, believe it or not, that idea of a backbeat all the way through a song really didn't happen until 1948. And that's really the first time you start hearing, whether it's heavy hand claps or a backbeat. This song, Good Rockin' Tonight, is one of the first songs that has that heavy thing all the way through from start to finish. Now, prior to this time, it really would have been difficult for a drummer to play a backbeat from start to finish because technology was such that he would have drowned out all the other instruments. And we talked about that in an earlier segment in this series. But now, with the electric guitar, the electric bass, technology in the recording studio is better, you start to have some microphones for the other instruments, now a drummer can really lay in. And so Good Rockin' Tonight was one of the first tracks where this heavy backbeat idea with heavy hand claps going on 2 and 4, which came out of the gospel church, all comes together. And amazingly, it's a huge hit. In fact, this song stayed on the charts for 6 months. It was that popular. Big reason why was because of this heavy backbeat going, and guess what? People love to dance to it. So Good Rockin' Tonight, 1948, it's a major step forward for the groove in terms of rhythm and blues, shuffles, and backbeats. Our swing kit has now morphed into bebop-sized ride cymbal, and that size ride cymbal, once that took over, then they started using that in pretty much all styles of music, because they realized, well, now you had the option to play your hi-hat or you had the option to play on your ride cymbal as timekeepers. They were both valid. So we got our big time cymbal here, and we have kind of the beginnings of what was going to become a crash cymbal. You know, guys would use a couple different sized rides, and then that eventually morphed into an official cymbal that was called a crash, that was specifically to be crashed. So in rhythm and blues, of course, we said the shuffle is the bread and butter groove, and the shuffle is versus this kind of an idea, which was sort of the staple of the jazz, we call it the jazz ride pattern. Now, this was the more of the dominant idea in a rhythm and blues setting. Okay, so I'm going to play a short demonstration of shuffles, and I'm going to play first some shuffles without a backbeat, and then I'm going to add the backbeat, because remember we said the backbeat kind of came in at the very end of the 40s and into the 50s. So here we go. Who could tell me what made a drum set a drum set?
The low boy.
Kick pedal. Match grip.
The sock cymbal.
My name is Daniel Glass. I'm a drummer, author, and educator. In 1994, I joined a band called Royal Crown Revue. We were trying to figure out how to take the rebellious spirit of modern styles like punk and put it into big band and other roots music. We found out it was already there. I've been absorbed in this world ever since. I started researching the evolution of the drum set and the way that we play it. In the last dozen years, I've interviewed more than 60 different legendary drummers. I came to a startling conclusion. Perhaps more than any other instrument, the drum set is equipped to tell the story of America and American music.
All of these immigrants coming from around the world brought their technology. Jazz music and pop music were one and the same. You could dance to it.